All right, section 2.1 of MathLinks 8. Question 13 says a soccer team played 28 games and won 4 out of every 7 games. There were no tied games. So with that information, we really look at the ratio of games won to games played, and we do have one of those ratios. We have the ratio of 1 to played, and the information given says for every 4 games won, they played 7 total. So really from that I could also figure out that they, for every 4 games won, they lost 3. I'll probably just write that up here, and hopefully that'll come later on, because for every 7 games played, they won 4. Therefore, they lost 3. The first question, or then it also says the soccer team played 28 games. Well, how many games did they lose? Well, if I look at an equivalent ratio here, if they played 7 in this ratio and won 4, well, if they played 28, with this proportion or this equivalent ratios, I could be able to figure out how many games they must have won if they played 28, if this is consistently going to happen over the course of their soccer season. So I understand that I really quadrupled the number of games they played. I multiplied 7 by 4. And if we want to keep this proportional, I must also multiply the number of games they won by 4, give me 16 games won. But be careful, because 13a says how many games did they lose? And since they won 16, that must mean they lost 12. Now one of my students in my other class, Jake McNeil, said, I did it a different way. He said, and Jake's a very bright young boy, he said, well, they lost 3, so I didn't even start with this ratio. I started with lost to played. And he said he started with 3 to 7, and then equals 28. And by multiplying it by 4, he was able to get 12 lost without even needing this ratio here. So Jake, you were very wise to do it that way. 13b, however, says, what was the team's win-loss ratio? Well, we knew that if we have win-loss ratio, they would win 4 games and they would lose 3. Now, keep in mind, what kind of ratio is this? This is a part to part, not a part to whole, because we're comparing 2 parts of their season, their wins and their losses. So the win-loss ratio was 4 to 3, because they played, for every 7 games, they won 4, and we ascertained they lost 3. So that would be the ratio for that. And for C, it says, if this trend continues, how many losses would you expect the team to have to go once they have won 20 games? Let's go back here for a second and look at our ratios that we had. So if they played 20 games, okay, how many would they, was it win? How many would they win? So let's put this games won to games played. And if how many games would they play? So we have 20 games won. Sorry, I got to go back to my original ratio. 4 games to 3 games. Oh, that's a loss. All right, hang on a second. How many losses? How many losses? That should be losses. Should be losses here. All right. So wins to losses is 4 to 3. And how many losses would they expect to have if they had 20 wins? Well, if you look here, again, we're using our proportional reasoning. I multiply this by 5. So if the ratio of 4 to 3 is true, then if I won 20 games, I should have lost 15 of them. So that's your answer to the last part. Okay.